Hey guys, back for my third and final video for tonight. Um, this video is about Jonathan Frid's character Barnabas Collins, the character he played in a 1966 Dark Shadows series. He didn't arrive till 1967, episode 211. And, you know, was Barnabas Collins Dracula? Was Jonathan Frid Bela Lugosi? In my opinion, no, not at all, not even close. I watched Bela Lugosi long before I watched Jonathan Frid. Um, to me, there's never a moment where Lugosi gives a shit from the Dracula standpoint. He doesn't care about why he's doing it or who he's doing it to. So, from the Dracula standpoint, from his character standpoint, is what I'm meaning, is he, the character of Dracula just does not care. Where Barnabas Collins, and I'm going to try to find the clip, and if I do, it's going to be in the description box. Jonathan Frid, after he gets out of the coffin, there's a scene where he comes back to the old house and he runs into David Collins. And David shows him the portrait of Josette. And this is what I mean that, you know, I never felt Barnabas was ever going to hurt Maggie because he resembled Josette. I don't even think he would have turned her into a vampire. He knew he was cursed. I mean, why would he, right? And here's why, too. Here's another reason why I said this. David shows him the portrait of Josette, and he's explaining if you're Collins, she would even help you. And he's like, oh. And, he doesn't let on that he knows that. And David leaves and goes back to Collinwood, the great house. And there you see they show a shot of Fred as Barnabas Collins standing in the drawing room looking up at the portrait of Josette. And his whole attitude and his mood have changed. I mean, really, you want to look at a great change in attitude, and it's right to here. It's not mean though. It's not sinister. It's if I had to think of one thing to say about it, I would say it's almost like he's saying na 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 boo boo, I'm out, and the whole mood of the house does change when Barnabas first goes in there. The mood of the house to me was always Josette. When Barnabas goes in there, that mood changes. You could tell Josette just is like, oh my God, you're out. I mean, you could sort of feel it in the air. Um, but again, I never sensed hatred between the two right then and there, ever. I never sensed hate. It was more of a feeling of regret than hate. A feeling of almost pity to a degree between the two. Um, and when you get into 1795, you understand why. So he looks up at Josette's portrait and he says, I was a Collins. Where were you when I was turned into something my own father left? So when he begins speaking to Josette's portrait, he knows Josette. He was alive during the time of Josette. He actually met the real Josette, not the ghost, the living person. So, and he knew her. So he's asking her, where were you? Where were you? But, and that's really the first, sort of oh shit, we're we're about to get into some deep stuff, and we really are. I mean, the history of Barnabas, Josette, and Angelique is the damnedest thing, and he tells Josette, if my father's ghost is here with yours, tell him I've come home. Tell him the chains at which he have bound me have been broken. And I'm going to leave the rest of the line to Fred because he says it way better than I do. And I'm definitely going to try to find that video, guys. But it is definitely, to me, one of the best scenes in Dark Shadows. And there's a lot of great scenes. But to me, that's the scene. If I had to pick one scene that definitely proves, Barnabas and Dracula just aren't the same, I would definitely pick that one because when I saw that, I'm just like, wow, this is way different. I knew Barnabas was a vampire. I knew Barnabas was the vampire. I knew he was the guy that came out the coffin when I first saw Dark Shadows. It didn't take me like 100 watches to know that Barnabas was the vampire. It took me the very first one. And so when I saw him talking to Josette's portrait, that's where I mean, even the way he talked to Elizabeth a little bit, but I was like, well, he could be faking that. But when he's talking to Josette's portrait, he is truly genuine. He's truly himself of who he is. And I go, wow, this guy really isn't necessarily bad. He just wants to live his life. And that's sort of what he maybe has always wanted to do. He didn't necessarily ask for this. So that's definitely something to look at when you look at Barnabas Collins, Jonathan Fritz's character, who did a amazing job. I can't say enough about the character that Jonathan Fritz played and the way he portrayed the character. Last video for tonight, guys. I'm done. I'm signing off. You guys have a great night, and tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Well, actually, it's Thanksgiving right now. It's midnight. So have a happy and safe Thanksgiving.